Everything was perfect. Heaven had a perfect harmony. God's creations were perfect. How did things get so messy as we have today? Well, it all started with one creature becoming jealous of God. The next passage that I'm going to read to you are from John, and it says, "You are of your father the devil, and you wanted to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning, and he does not stand in truth, because there is no truth in him. Whenever he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own nature, for he is a liar and the father of lies." And also John, "The one who practices sin is of the devil, for the devil has sinned from the beginning." What was going on in Lucifer's mind? It makes no sense to me. He lived in heaven, a perfect place, and still this is what he had in his heart according to Isaiah. "How have you fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn? You have been cut down to the earth, you who have weakened the nations, but you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on a mount of assembly in the recesses of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." This is one of the most odd passages in the scriptures. The audacity to think that he could take the place of God, to be like the Most High and sit on his throne. It was his envy that corrupted Lucifer. And his jealousy grew to the point that he started to spread his ideas, or his trade, as it is called in Ezekiel 28:16, to the other angels. He started going around and saying that his kingdom would be better than God's kingdom, that God was not fair, that his law was impossible to be fulfilled. And he created rebellion in heaven. In Revelation 12:7-9, we see the results of this rebellion. We see a war between Jesus and his angels and Lucifer and his angels. And at this point, because of his rebellion, there was no place in heaven for Lucifer and his angels anymore. And they were expelled from heaven and found home on earth, where Adam and Eve unfortunately fell to his trap. Then in Job 1, verses 6-8, we find something that is quite interesting. It looks like God was having some kind of a meeting, a council, where representatives from each of the worlds came. It says that the sons of God came to present themselves to God. And Lucifer was there. And God asks, "Where are you coming from?" And he goes, "From going to and from an earth." Kind of like he was saying, the earth is mine, that's my territory, because I come and go as I please. And then God goes, "Well, have you noticed my son Job?" I believe that God was saying, while there is someone there that is faithful to me, that is not your planet. You're not Earth's representative. And then Lucifer starts discussing, arguing back and forth with God, saying, "Hey, but yes, Job is faithful, but it's because you give him everything. Let me take things away from him. You're going to see that he's going to curse you." Then God allows, and the whole book of Job comes to be. Well, that is a story that is kind of hard to understand exactly why God allowed Job to go through all of that. The only thing that comes to my mind was to have a documentation for our salvation. But going back to the point is that Lucifer thinks that he is the representative of this world. As I read these passages, people ask me, wait a minute. First, it was God who created Lucifer. Does that mean that God created evil? Also, God knows the future. Why would God create Lucifer if he knew he would become evil? Others think that God had to create evil to create a balance between good and evil, as this idea of the yin and yang, that there is a balance there between good and evil. Also, that in the image of the yin and yang, there is darkness that has a little bit of light, and there is light that has a little bit of darkness. Kind of giving the idea that every good has a little bit of evil, and every evil has a little bit of good. As if there is some evil in God and there is some good in Lucifer. No, I don't agree with this idea. God did not create evil, and no, there is no need to create a balance between good and evil. God is 100% good. The way I see it, it's kind of like what we learn in science when we go to grade school. Darkness does not really exist, but it's the lack of light that creates darkness. The same way, God is 100% goodness, but it is when we distance ourselves from God and His goodness that darkness take over. But God created, or better yet, God gave us, humans and angels, an incredible gift called free will. The concept of free will, for me, is mind-blowing. God created beings out of the abundance of love that He had to share, but gave the ability to love Him back or not. God did not want to create beings that would love Him because they were programmed to do it, like a robot, or forced to. He wanted to create beings that had the capability to love Him back or not. That was a risky move, but God would not have it any other way. Now let me illustrate the difference between ability and capability of making choices. Let's pretend that I tell you that I have two kinds of cake. One's vanilla, one is chocolate. And I tell you, please choose which one do you like. And as soon as you try to reach for the chocolate, a wall comes up that does not allow you to get to the cake. Is that really freedom of choice? No, right? Because you could choose, you can make that choice, but you can get to the chocolate. So that's not completely true. You were not able to make a choice. And that is not true free will if God did that. And that is the reason God created Lucifer, even knowing that that was a risk. But God knows the future. Couldn't He only created beings that He knew they were going to love Him? No, that would not be true free will. But look at the mess that we live today. Couldn't God just eliminate Lucifer when he first started to show signs of sin? Well, God could do that. But would the other angels love and obey God out of fear or out of love? Remember that Lucifer was going around spreading rumors about God to the other angels. He was jealous. He thought he could take the place of God and have a better kingdom with no rules, no laws. They would have freedom to live as they please. If God just eliminated Lucifer, the other angels would just think that Lucifer was right. You either obey God or else. Another question that people have. By the way, all of these questions are real. Those are questions that people asked me. What if God eliminated Lucifer and did a brainwash, a lobotomy in all of the angels and made them forget all about Lucifer and sin? Again, God could do that, but what would guarantee that sin would not start again? And that's the reason why we're still here. God needs to make sure that every single created being understands the horrendous consequences of sin, and out of their free will decide to stay away from sin. That is the only guarantee we have that sin will never arise a second time. You might want to watch this video again. The concept of the origin of sin and free will is amazing and extremely important to understand the character of God and His plan for our redemption.